Support WrestleTalk!
Tell a friend. What's next for Bray Wyatt? I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen. Welcome to WrestleRamble, where today we're sort of digesting the Ultimate Deletion fallout. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Daniel Bryan. With Daniel Bryan getting cleared, makes Ultimate Deletion feel so long ago.
So long ago, especially because we did the bonus episode on Tuesday as well. Like, we've done a WrestleRamble every single day this week. Well, he's recording one anyway.
Yeah.
But not like, they're not seeing this until Saturday. But you and I have sat in this room every day this week.
That's a 4-day run right there.
That is.
I'm sick of you.
Usually I only come into the studio 3 days a week. What's happening?
We've this comes from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Of course, Ultimate Deletion was earlier in the week. It was on Monday, and this is what Dave Meltzer wrote about Bray Wyatt being, because that was the big cliffhanger. Bray Wyatt's pushed into the Lake of Reincarnation, and that's it. Senor Benjamin cannot recover his body.
He was not there. He was missing.
And Matt just goes, "That means delightful. He's been deleted," and then he did the delete thing a lot, as he is wont to do. So this is the quote from the Observer. "There were rumblings about some sort of change in the Wyatt character. It's overdue to begin. It's due to begin with the Ultimate Deletion, where he was thrown into the Lake of Reincarnation, only to vanish in the lake. That would at least make one suspect some type of change." So it seems like there's been rumblings backstage for a while. We need to do something with Bray. I don't know how far back those rumblings go, because maybe one of the old attempts was, we really need to do something with Bray. Crossdresser. Let's make him a Sister Abigail.
Yeah, I still think that we're going back to old Bray Wyatt. I think we're going back to cult leader, preacher character Bray Wyatt.
Little fun hat.
The little hat, the Hawaiian shirt. I think that's where we're heading back to. We're going to try and move far away from this spiritual nonsense that he had of rubbing mud on himself, the crucifix and all that garbage. So I think we're moving from the cross-dressing stuff and going back to basics. That's how I feel.
Back to basics as in 2013 cosplay.
Yes.
Wasn't it? Every convention, every wrestling show, you always thought, I'm going to be the cool guy with the Hawaiian shirt, the little pork pie hat, the white trousers and snakeskin boots. Oh, there's 6 other guys exactly like me with better beards here doing just that.
It was like any convention you went to in 2013, where everyone went as Heath Ledger's Joker. Or go into a convention now where you just trip over Deadpool's.
Deadpool's was 2015. And then
2015, yeah.
And then Harley Quinn was 2016.
Yeah.
And 2017, when we went, we saw a lot of Ricks from Rick and Morty.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Easy
we saw
one.
loads.
Lab coat. That's all you need.
Although there were some people who took it a little bit further by doing the big. We saw some polystyrene heads, which was much more impressive.
Really just realised I haven't started the timer for this episode.
Lord knows how long we've gone so far.
That's a bad sign for professionalism. So you think? There's a lot of ways you can go. I feel like we're beating a dead horse, because whenever we do fantasy booking, I always gravitate towards Bray Wyatt, because he's such an engaging character at his core, the original concept of Bray Wyatt. But then he's just been booked into the ground and booked with things layers of ridiculousness you do not need to add. All the supernatural stuff you've already mentioned. But I don't think you can just go back to what he was. Go back to the shack, as Weezer would sing.
Go back to the shack foo.
Go back to the shack. That is one way he could do it. He could go back and sort of start to assemble a new family. That's the easiest route to take. But I don't know if that would work.
No.
Might come off a bit lazy.
It could be a bit lazy. Or are we going to get a complete, we're not even having Bray Wyatt anymore. We're going to get a brand new character. Some people have suggested maybe even a Woken Wyatt. The other suggestion I've seen a lot, people have got to me on Twitter about this, and people have said it in the comments when we did the Ultimate Deletion review, is putting him with Sanity and saying that maybe but I'm very against the idea of just putting him with Sanity, because Sanity already has a leader. They have a leader in Eric Young, and I don't think that bringing up a group just to put a different leader with them is the best thing that Sanity needs. And Eric Young's a really good leader for Sanity. You don't want to just make Eric Young a lackey.
Sanity are good enough to be their own thing.
Yeah, they don't need Bray Wyatt.
Whereas, Bray is always going to have that Wyatt. Whatever faction Bray goes into, it's always going to be compared against the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
It's like, you shouldn't really try and make Roman Reigns to be the new Stone Cold or the new John Cena. Make him the new Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
It's you're going to run into that problem. So it is a conundrum. It's not as easy as it seems about Bray Wyatt.
The only thing I would say is I think if I was WWE, if this was I was the man behind the curtain, so to speak. If you were the
higher power.
If I was the higher power and I was pulling all the strings, I would save this until at least SummerSlam. Possibly even later. I would keep him off TV for some time.
That long?
I believe in you can't miss someone unless they go away. Like, the last thing we need is just like at Backlash, he's back as a new character, and we're just going to get Matt versus this new character. Like, if we're bringing him back to continue a feud with Matt, you want to try and space that out as much as possible. Taking Bray Wyatt off, because everyone's kind of sick of Bray Wyatt as well. Even with a character refresh, I think if you leave that for long enough, when he comes back, we'll be like, oh man, Bray Wyatt's back. Then it feels like a bigger deal. If it's been 6 months, that feels like a much bigger deal.
Eater of feuds, he has become.
He certainly has, yeah.
Because it's
the
not
eater of entertainment.
It's not just Bray Wyatt that's the problem. It's unfortunately kind of like how Dolph Ziggler is. Whoever you put him with is going to drag that person down into the vortex of bad booking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is an option. I didn't think about making it that long. Because, there's no point bringing him back in the next 3 weeks because that's all going to be Mania driven. But if he turns up in the Superstar Shake-Up, that's 4 weeks away, maybe on a new brand.
The Bray Wyatt, he's gone from SmackDown to Raw and then back to SmackDown because we're basically like, look, we've got an out for him on either show.
Yeah. Well, could he go back to NXT and amass some followers there?
Oh, I see. I like
lead
that.
An NXT invasion.
I mean, I like that, but yeah, I mean, I could go for it.
There was a faction that debuted on one of the live events called, I think it was the Sons of Anarchy is the TV show, isn't it?
Correct.
It's something like the Sons of Anarchy.
Okay.
And it was led by Gunner, of former Impact fame. And you also,
Fishmonger's friend.
Yeah, Fishmonger's tag team partner. And you also had, who was the chap that was originally with the guy who was called up for the Cruiserweight tournament?
Leo Rush?
No. Oh, this is not entertaining videos to watch a guy struggle remembering
the guy who presents the news for a living.
It's so you
said he was
Blake Murphy, but not Blake Murphy.
Oh, buddy, no, the other one, Wesley
Blake.
Wesley Blake.
Wesley Blake.
Blake Murphy.
Blake Murphy.
Blake Murphy.
Buddy Blake.
Blake Murphy sounds like a Tom Selleck character from the 1980s.
He had solved some crimes and misogynize some women. So they were part of a faction with another dude. I'm not even going to try and remember his name. And Bray Wyatt could come down there. Sons of Chaos. I don't know.
God, you can tell us late on a Thursday, can't you?
Yeah. I just don't know what to do with Bray.
Well, I'd like to think, to try and maybe put a little bow onto this conversation. I'd like to think WWE know.
That's a terrible bow. That's a bow that has holes in, and it's already starting to flop on one side. It's frayed at the corner.
It's the sort of bow that I would do, where you're sort of like, oh, this sort of works, but not really.
Hey, I've got a bow for you.
Oh, yeah?
A bow Dallas.
Yeah, putting in with bow.
I don't know. No. I didn't even think that's the solution now. This is deflating me. I thought this was time for optimism. I thought Bray Wyatt is finally going to get a revamp. But actually, the best thing I can see is a woken Bray with Matt. I think that's the best way to do this.
Yeah.
Because anything else is going to be a pale imitation of the Wyatt family.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the key of it. Really, is that as you said, any group he's put with, it's just going to feel like Wyatt Family 2.0.
But we do have some positive news regarding the whole Ultimate Deletion thing. It did okay.
It did. It was fine in the ratings.
So this has become a bit of a catchphrase in the comments after Luke's glowing review of Ultimate Deletion. Big build-up, drum roll.
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was broadly fine.
Did you see? I can't remember whose video it was, but someone put Luke Owen on Daniel Bryan's WWE return.
It was fine.
Luke Owen 2018. So, yes, this...
Cause someone sent me that this morning on Twitter saying, like, I think I put something up and they said, like, oh, it was fine. And I was like, I hope it was fine becomes a new T-shirt.
Yes.
And someone sent me a message back saying, like, yeah, but it needs air quotes for podcast listeners.
Nice.
What a great reply.
Someone also said another catchphrase, the worst catchphrases are, oh, I saw this thing on Reddit. I can't remember who said it. They say, is that becoming a running gag?
That's a running gag for you, isn't it?
For me?
I saw it on Reddit, but I can't remember who said it. How the Ultimate Deletion performed. It didn't do stellar. It's not like, whoa, this is the future of wrestling. Everything's going to be filmed on drones and cut together with no sense of spatial continuity. It's very much, like you said, it was fine. So the last week's Raw with a crazy third hour, which never really performs as well as that. Usually you see, a 3.2 million, a 3.3 million in the first and second hours, and then it goes down to like 2.8, and that's what drags the whole thing down, particularly the overrun. Mm-hmm. So Raw will run from its 8 to 11 slot in whatever time zone you're in, and then it will go 5 to 15 minutes over its allotted time, which I've never understood when you've got 3 hours. The overrun exists because they did it during the Monday Night War to try and capitalize on, like, oh, Nitro's finished, but if we do an overrun, then they'll flick over from Nitro and catch us. So then Nitro extended out their overrun, so WWE just extended out. Then everyone was just extending out overruns, basically. But now you don't have that competition, so you really don't need the extra 15 minutes. You're just doing it because you've always done it.
And people just want to go to bed. And sometimes you want to cut between Randy Orton staring at someone in the ring and Kevin Owens improvising at the top just a few more times.
Sometimes that's what you need.
But it seems what apparently came out last week, which did that very good third hour, is that didn't have much of an overrun. It was when Braun Strowman won the tag team battle royal, and not having that overrun raised the average of the whole third hour. That's how significant the overrun is. People just must, it's 11 o'clock, I cannot be bothered with this, tune out, go to bed. So, I don't know why they had an overrun this week as well. Mm-hmm. But last week's was 3.35 million. This week's episode was 3.31 million.
Yes, there was like an 11.5% drop week on week.
Between the second and third hours.
Oh, right. I was talking about the third hour to this week to third hour last week was a 11.5% drop.
Yeah, it did a peculiarly large third hour last week. I think it's because a lot of people were waiting for Ronda. And Brock as well, because they said Brock isn't going to be here. Was Roman Reigns going to come back? Yeah. None of that stuff happened in the end. It was just
I could certainly buy into that. So it did fine though. Like, it didn't completely lose viewers, which is, that's certainly a good thing. But it's as I've been saying with regards to Impact. Like, as much as the wrestling bubble really likes Ultimate Deletion and this sort of broken universe, it's never drawn viewers to things. Like, Impact never got a really big bump off the Deletion stuff.
It did, relatively
to Impact, it did much better. But then, maybe I suppose. But I was never expecting this to do like massive gangbuster numbers. The positive on this, though, the real positive, is that it did stay above 3 million, which is very rare for Raw to do. So there are some successes to take from it.
A lot of people are referencing the YouTube videos as a mark of its success. I'm not as confident there, because if you look, they've split the Ultimate Deletion match up into quite a few separate videos, and most of them range from, 200,000 to 500,000. So about 5 videos there in that range, which is pretty much what everything else does, the big stuff. But the last one, which is the one with Jeff Hardy in the thumbnail, has 2 million views. And you're like, is that Ultimate Deletion, or is that Jeff Hardy returning?
Yeah, that's Jeff Hardy returning more than anything else. At least I would argue that's what it is.
Yeah, I think so. So if anyone, the people who are saying, me included in today's news, I just didn't have time to elaborate, it's done well on YouTube. It's like, did it, or was Jeff the draw there? Yeah. And did you see how much the Ronda Rousey clip has done?
Well, last I checked, it did over 4 million, but I don't know how much it's been to since.
3, so...
Yeah.
And, there were a few other things that did very well in YouTube terms and the clips. But apparently Vince McMahon, this is WrestleZone, Vince McMahon was worried Matt Hardy's Ultimate Deletion would bomb on Raw, and it was a struggle to get that match on WWE programming.
Which I'm unsurprised by.
Yeah.
Like, Vince McMahon has done things a certain way for the last 40 years. To then say, like, hey, this wacky thing that I've done, it's people like it. Let me put it on Raw. You'd be like, whoa! I've barely changed my socks, let alone my TV program style.
Bad cow.
Bad cow. It's. I'd imagine it probably would have taken quite a bit of convincing for him, but I would have thought that the fact that it didn't drop below 3 million would be a positive sign. Vince can. Those are figures that Vince can look at and be like, hey, this weren't so bad after all.
And it was the #1 trending topic worldwide for 2 hours on Monday night.
And they love that kind of that rubbish that doesn't translate to money. They love that.
That is a did you know card if I ever
isn't
saw
it
one.
just?
And Matt's sort of tweet asking for retweets for another match that got loads of retweets. So that's all good. But it's not. We said it when we did the review. You can't look at the Ultimate Deletion and Matt Hardy's Broken Universe and go, I can 100% bet everything I have on that concept working with the mainstream. Oh, yeah. Sure, it worked in the Impact. It did well for Impact, but that was such a smaller proportion than WWE viewership. So to bet 3 million viewers or 3 to 3.5 million viewers on the Broken Universe working, I mean, of course he'd be worried. Yeah,
it's odd as well because I'd really, as I said on the review, I'm less interested in what the overall hour did. I'm more interested in what the quarter hour did. But we don't really tend to get those quarter hour breakdowns anymore. It's not like if you look at old observers and figure fours during the Monday Night War, because it was a ratings battle between two companies. They would do the quarter hour breakdowns of being like, yeah, this match did really well against this segment over here. So you can dive into that more, but you don't tend to see quarter hours, really. But that's what I'd like to see.
It's time to honour all those who donated $25 a month or more to WrestleTalk's Patreon page, where you can get Luke.
Loads of stuff. At the $5 level, you get WrestleRamble Extra, where we're going to be reviewing WrestleMania 25 this month, as well as
watch that this weekend.
Yeah, I'm watching it tomorrow, as well as the back catalogue of reviews, including Money in the Bank 2011, Halloween Havoc 98, Armageddon 2000, Wrestle Kingdom 10, and Survivor Series 98.
Wrestle Kingdom 10 with the first AJ Nakamura match.
Certainly was,
which is timely for WrestleMania, if that happens.
Wasn't it just? You also, at the $10 level, you get Ramble Club, where we're going to be reviewing quite a lot of matches from NXT and 205 Live this month, as well as New Japan Cup stuff, which I'm really excited. I've watched quite a lot of it already, and I'm so geared up to talk about that.
And Zack Sabre Jr.'s run to the top of New Japan.
Zack Sabre Jr. just having the best matches all the time. So yeah, lots of great stuff for us to talk about on Ramble Club. That's at the $10 level. And of course, at the $25 level, you get your name read out by these two divs here. These two dorks will read out your name and give you a silly little wrestling name.
And I don't think we explained this for a while. Why are we hitting the bell? It's a Hall of Fame, a WrestleTalk Hall of Fame induction ring. Get it?
Yeah, it's good pun.
You get a ring.
Yeah, it's good pun.
So the $100 man, CD Horver.
Richard the Dragon Stevens.
Stem Cell, Robert Stemmen.
Big Ben Spires.
Let's have a drink, Christopher Travis Merriman.
Gravestone Gary Hockin.
Oh, missed it. Dead the Pool Warrior.
Britain's next top model, Phil Stopford.
There it is. He asked us on Twitter.
Yeah.
Where was my shout-out in yesterday's
You were in the second batch.
I Hate Mondays, John Mower.
The stepbrother... Let's try this again. The stepbrother, Brennan McClough.
Wee-hee, John Russell.
Let's all fly a Ryan Kite.
Killer Chris Phillips.
The real true heel, Len Bren.
And Jonathan the Headmaster Headman. It's mailbag time, where if you pledge at any level on Patreon, you can submit a question, and if it's good enough, we'll read it out and try and answer
Absolutely, yeah. I compile them all together into a little folder on my in my inbox, and then I cycle through. I cherry pick some of the best questions, and I put them into this document, and then we read them out and answer them. That's generally how it works.
They are the creme de la creme of questions.
Yes,
the king of the ring of questions, the Zack Sabre Jr. submitting the last decade of top Japanese stars of questions.
Oh, God, what a run he has.
Yes.
God, I cannot wait to talk about that on Ramble Club.
So, also, before we jump into these, we've left today's recording a tad late, so we're going to have to cut the episode short. Don't hate us.
No. Should we explain why we're recording this late?
If you want to,
well,
I mean, on Luke.
To be honest, I've taken the heat all week, apart from when I joined Daniel Bryan. But this is my fault because I've been very slow at writing my fantasy booking Warfare, which we were going to record today, so that I didn't have to come in on Monday. But I haven't finished it yet, so we're going to record it on Monday now.
Yes.
So I've basically got more of the weekends to kind of finish it up because I've been struggling.
Even though you were trash talking me.
I don't think I was trash talking.
You were saying, I've got such a good start. And I was like, you need an end.
Well, no, my start is good. That's the one bit I'm very confident on is the start of it. And I've kind of plotted things out. I needed to write stuff out, but I had a lot on my plate today, so doing weekend videos. So unfortunately, we are cutting this episode a little bit short, and that's my fault.
Mine is more like mine has an okay start and it has an okay end, and it's just fine. But I think that overall level of fineness is going to beat your good start and petered out end.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, I haven't won a fantasy booking Warfare. It's been a long time. Like, I don't think I've won the last 5 or 6.
Wow.
It might be even more than that.
The streak! Make it happen. So, Will Height has gotten in touch and has asked which wrestler, main roster or NXT member, is the best fit to break Asuka's streak. Main roster, I'm thinking Becky, because she's criminally underutilized.
Ain't that
or
the
from
truth?
NXT, Kairi Sane, because I just rewatched the Mae Young Classic and she is awesome. Love you guys, keep up the rambling.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we actually fancy booked just having a chat once. We said that Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam, Asuka versus Rousey at SummerSlam would be a very good, like a bit of a mouth-watering match for her to possibly break the streak. But for me, just for it to come full circle, it would be Ember Moon. Keeping Asuka undefeated up until next year's WrestleMania with a call-up, with an Ember Moon call-up where Ember Moon can essentially get that win that she has been trying to get over Asuka ever since they started their feud way back when. So I think as a nice sort of full circle thing, that's lovely, and that'd be a really nice video package as well.
You've got to work backwards from the video package.
Yeah, exactly.
So I totally agree with Ember Moon, and I really like that as a story and the history they have together. But Are you
going to say not Ronda?
Well, no,
because I would probably agree with you.
I really like Ember Moon, but she doesn't grab me. I feel like there's a layer missing for me personally. Like, I've never totally been into Jeff Hardy. I've talked about this before. Everyone else seams to love him. Just never been fully into it.
This guy right here loves Jeff Hardy.
And I feel like it's a similar arm's length thing with Ember Moon. Whatever, I can't put my finger on it. She just doesn't connect or resonate with me the way she does other people. And although I really like the story, I would want Asuka's streak to be broken by someone I think has longer term value. And maybe that's a Kairi Sane. I would like a full-on heel Shayna Baszler to just come in and destroy Asuka. Yeah. I mean, maybe do a Goldberg thing where Baszler beats her very, very quickly, so Asuka kind of has an out. But it is a streak. I don't know. It's a complicated... It's never a good time to end a streak.
No, but actually, I kind of like this idea of this Shayna Baszler coming in and doing almost the Goldberg Brock Lesnar thing, where you beat her very, very quickly, because Asuka's character was really fascinating towards the end of her NXT run, because she was a babyface, but she had very heelish tendencies. Because her gimmick was like, "No one is ready for Asuka" was a heel catchphrase. It's like, well, obviously no one's ready for Asuka. Look at me. I'm awesome. I'm the best. All of her promos were like done in limos where she was just sat in the back seat just ignoring questions because everyone's question was just like, oh, what do you think of this opponent? She's like, what a stupid question. Why are you even asking me that?
Big Money Asuka.
Big Money Asuka. She was like by pools and in these big mansions and stuff because she was the undefeated Empress of Tomorrow. So this like heel character. And I think that just, you build up all this cockiness and stuff, essentially kind of like you did with Brock when he got beat by Goldberg. And then she walks in, cocky as all hell. Baszler comes in, bang, and just gets this really quick win over here. Kind of knocks Asuka down a peg. She has to then rebuild herself. You do have that out. And that out is she got overconfident. It wasn't she lost because like someone was better than her. She lost because she beat herself, sort of. Like, and that's kind of always a nice way to get out of the streak, especially if you're building this over a long period of time. And I think storyline-wise and character-wise, that'd be quite interesting. I'd want to do it with a babyface rather than Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, so maybe it wouldn't work there. But I think that storyline works if you had a really cool babyface coming in.
I don't know who the right person... Of course, Goldberg, it worked, because he was a babyface, and you got away with it. He had that sort of... Well, he didn't have any legitimacy from a fighting standpoint. But Shayna Baszler certainly does. But that scenario would be heel versus heel. The other way to do it would be to book Asuka. You live long enough to become the villain, and she does become a super heel and is heelish, and she cheats to protect the streak. And then Kairi Sane, who is the sort of complete opposite to a heel. Yeah. How can you hate that face?
Oh, she is just amazing, isn't she?
And you just have her like underdog baby face against this unstoppable Asuka, and she really good. I'm just fantasy booking, really good match.
Yeah,
and she overcomes her in the end.
It is funny as well because they were telling that story with Asuka because the first match she had with Ember Moon, she did cheat to win. She pushed the referee into the ropes and she cheated to kind of hold up to keep her streak alive. But they never really played off that afterwards. It was really odd.
It was always there.
It was always there, but it was never like Ember sort of mentioned it, but it was never like they turned it into this sort of big storyline thing. I loved it when they had the battle royal. And Asuka just went in and just threw everyone out. She wasn't even part of the match. I loved that heel version of Asuka. She was so cool.
Have you heard the rumour? I don't think there's much stock in it. It's from WrestlingNews.co, who aren't really known for breaking news, especially of this magnitude.
It sounds certainly generic.
Yeah.
As WrestleTalk can be.
So they say that Asuka's going to remain undefeated until WrestleMania 35, where she will be beaten by Ronda Rousey.
Interesting. I can certainly see her being undefeated until WrestleMania 35, and if I was booking it, that's what I would do as well.
But it's you don't really want Ronda to face Asuka at SummerSlam. You need a whole year to see if she's got what it takes to build this up.
Well, there's a friend of mine who is a big UFC guy, who is very much on the anti-Ronda train. He hated her when she was in UFC, and like he just keeps saying to me, he's like, You said you'll see. It's all going to blow up, and they're going to give up on her really quickly.
Wow. Well, we'll see. I think they're paying her so much money, I can't see that happening. CD Hoover writes...
Brand new Patreon backer.
Thank you.
CD Hoover. I just said Hoover.
Choosing one male and one female superstar from wrestler from each brand, who would you pick as the most underutilized talent? People that you know in your superfan heart of hearts have untapped potential, yet creative, just can't seem to figure out what to do with them.
So, fun fact for you viewers, Ollie tends to write down his answers on the laptop, so I try... He comes prepared. I try not to look at that because I don't want to just say what you've got written down. But I'm going to take a punt at one of the names I think you've written down.
So you haven't seen them?
I haven't seen them.
You'll definitely not get one of them.
Definitely. Okay, well, I'm going to take a punt at one of them, only because we were discussing it yesterday. Dana Brooke.
That was the one I thought you wouldn't get.
Oh, wow. What's the one No.
Because Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke is from Raw, yeah.
We literally said it yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday. It might have been the day before. It was when we were watching the Ronda Rousey segment with the awful sort of slap thing. And when Brooke came out and we were just like, man, she's got such like a superstar potential aura about her.
Yeah.
But she was brought up far too soon. Then she was put in that lame protege thing with Charlotte that went absolutely nowhere. And it was sort of sometimes there, sometimes not. And then she's just become are nothing, really.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame. But yeah, Dana Brooke, I think, is a really a potentially underutilized talent on Raw.
Not so much as a wrestler. I think, she's had enough time and she hasn't got... If anything, she's gotten worse.
But that's because they brought her up too soon. If you kept her in NXT, where she could have worked every night for a solid year, I think she really could have built up so much more about her.
I don't have as much faith, but she's got a great look and she can talk. I really like her sort of bullying attitude. She would be a really good manager. I guess she's too physically impressive to be a stereotypical manager, but there's got to be a better role for her than a statistician, which is
statistician.
What did I say?
Statistician.
What should I have said?
Statistician.
Statistician.
Yeah.
Schedule.
It is schedule.
And yeah, where she's effectively just, eye candy for Titus Worldwide. But yeah, I'm surprised we both went for Dana Brooke. The other one from Raw, I've gone for. That's also because everyone else on Raw, all the women, are actually quite well utilised at the moment. At least to where they've had their potential tapped.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, Bayley should be the female John Cena, but
she's been booked into oblivion.
I think that ship might have sailed at this point, that's an absolute crime. Go back and watch any of her stuff in 2014, 2015, when she was just I'd almost argue the most over baby face in the entire company. And yeah, it seems remarkable that they managed to get that so wrong.
Well done, WWE.
Well done.
The other one for Raw in a man form, of course I've chosen Cesaro.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout.
He should be Intercontinental Champion and in sort of poking through to the Universal Championship scene every now and again.
Yeah, I think that's right. I was going to actually add Apollo Crews as that, because I think Apollo has got... Because it's quite a big guy, he's got that athleticism. I know you don't really connect with him, but I think that there is something you can really do with Apollo that they're not doing. But on the SmackDown side of things, do you want to do SmackDown? I mean, female obviously is going to be Becky Lynch.
Yep, same with me.
14 months, no storyline. That's ridiculous for someone as good as Becky Lynch is. It really winds me up.
It's just that she's an all-rounder. She's a really good actress and performing angles like that. She can talk. She's naturally witty. Why?
Yeah, I know, and
she can wrestle.
She's a great in-ring worker. She's got a really unique look about her. But there's so much they can do with her, but they just decided, no, we're just not really. And I think that's a real crying shame for poor old Becky Lynch.
Who are you going to go for the man, underutilized SmackDown man?
I'm going to...
Shane McMahon doesn't get much of a push.
No.
He'd be a good one.
Yeah, I think that maybe with Shane. It seems obvious to say Ty Dillinger, but when I look back at how over 10 was as a chance, it almost feels like that. It's that Zack Ryder feel when the crowd were just so into this one thing and this one guy, and they just wanted to see him. Like the Rumble last year, Ty Dillinger wasn't on the main roster, but everyone kept saying Ty Dillinger's got to be number 10, right? Because 10 is so over at the moment. And it wasn't just WWE shows. Around the wrestling world, at other wrestling shows, there were 10 chants. 10 became, certainly not to the same level, but it was a yes movement, essentially. Everyone was doing it around the wrestling world. So you just think, that's something you can tap into and capitalize on, make money off of it. And they just decided not to. And now you don't hear 10 chants. The 10 chants are completely gone. The same way We Want Ryder chants, a Ryder chant eventually died out. If you don't get... Rusev Day chants are dying out because we, as an audience, have just realised, we chanted, but nothing's happening, so...
They do listen, WWE.
Oh, they do listen.
To their sponsors.
Yeah, that's
what we need to do. We need to tell Snickers to tell WWE to book Ty better.
Was anyone really surprised that it was a Snickers decision rather than a WWE decision?
Well, that's only a rumour that it's a Snickers decision.
It was 100%.
Stephanie McMahon said they listened to the fans.
Boulder Dash, and Lee swore them. I'm going to say Boulder Dash. That was one. WWE bow to two people: sponsors and shareholders. That's the only people they care about.
So any business. For my SmackDown pick, I've gone for Fandango.
Oh, good shout!
I think he is the best comic performer in WWE. He's so funny, and to give him a sort of exactly what he's doing now, You don't have to break up the Fashion Police, but he could have a good singles run in the United States title picture.
Speaking of which, actually, I'd really like... I know you said keep the Fashion Police together, but I'd really like to see Tyler Breeze go back to his heel fashion gimmick that he had, just with the furry selfie sticks and all that nonsense. Go back to what we really liked about him in NXT. I'd love to see that again, and especially in that mid-card era, like a scene that they've got there. I think that Tyler Breeze, he's such a good in-ring worker. He'd be a great addition to that.
So finally, we've got from Dustin G. What do you think the G stands for?
Great.
Gangster. It's got to be gangster, hasn't it?
Or Gangrel.
Yep. Hey guys, first message to the channel, so I would like to say great work and keep it up. Also, I would like to know what you think of Flip Gordon, or just his match with Will Ospreay. I think he has a lot of potential as a babyface people could actually get behind.
I mean, people like to chant Flip.
Yes, so Flip Gordon is currently with Ring of Honor, and he, as the name suggests, flips a lot.
Does a lot of flip-de-doos.
He is a very athletic human being. I really enjoy watching him wrestle. We were watching him in Ring of Honor just the other day. But he, from what I understand, he is actually quite new. Like, he's only a year or 2 years in to wrestling, and I do think he's very green. He's very good at the moves, but sort of the transitions between moves and selling stuff isn't as good.
It's what Jim Cornette thinks the Young Bucks do.
Yes, yeah.
In a sort of basement level way. But I completely agree. I think he is someone who has a lot of potential, and people really do like getting into that flip chant. But at the moment, he's not exactly like top level babyface, not even sort of like, TV champ level, sort of not at this point anyway. But give him a couple of years, I think he certainly could be.
Well, that's all we've got time for today, so please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk news and WrestleRamble, and subscribe to this channel on YouTube and the podcast. We'll be back on Monday with Fantasy Booking Warfare, if Luke's done it in time.
I will do eventually.
I've been Ollie Davis, this has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.